I do a lot of critiquing when it comes to modern entertainment, but the one thing that I have been looking forward to with some regularity is, of course, Season 2 of House of the Dragon. I have been effusive with my praise for the first season. I think that it is great. It stands right below the first and second seasons of Game of Thrones as some peak HBO content, at least from what they're putting out right now. I think it's the best that they have on offer, and we finally have our first official teaser instead of everybody just theory crafting as to what we're going to end up getting. And it's a unique situation where you have something from George R.R. Martin that is actually complete, because if you're hoping for any sort of completion when it comes to A Song of Ice and Fire, we're kind of running out of time, okay? 12 years, and the fact of the matter is he hasn't done anything on Winds of Winter for 2023. Yeah, that sucks a massive dick. So if you think a Dream of Spring is ever going to be coming, yeah, I've got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell ya. But with House of the Dragon in general, we know it's going to be, what, like 3, maybe 4 seasons? But the story that it's adapting, Fire and Blood, it's complete. It's done. We know everything, okay? It's already written into the mythos. Even if the story wasn't just adapting one singular book, everything is done. It's told. We know what the heck is going on. And there's very little wiggle room because the history is already written, unless, of course, you're going to be retconning it, which, of course, outside of, Season 1's clarifications, there were a couple of little maneuverings, things that added clarification, and in fact, according even to George R.R. Martin, was an improvement on the source material that he wrote. So shout out to Ryan Kindell for doing excellent work on the first season, which is why so many people, myself included, and I wasn't even watching along with Game of Thrones at the time. It was one of those popular things, and I don't know, maybe I was going through a bit of a hipster thing, but I just didn't want to imbibe in it. But yeah, this time last year, I did my first watch through of it, and I was like, yeah, whatever. So this time around, even though I was following the release of House of the Dragon Season 1, which probably ended up getting me more into the series. Now that we have the official teaser for Season 2, well, I'm very excited. It's about a minute long, and it cuts to a lot of things, and it sets up quite a bit. I watched this earlier today, and I've been thinking about it a lot, and normally teasers or trailer reactions on the channel isn't something that I'm doing, but because I've given little shout-outs to how good I think that Season 1 is and how much I'm looking forward to Season 2, and given the fact that it's December and I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want for the month, well, hey man, might as well make while the making's good, and I'm going to be stopping this, mostly for copyright purposes. But then, of course, because I see little things that are in here that's going to be giving us insight as to some of the things that we can expect for Season 2. So if you want to watch the full 1 minute uninterrupted without any commentary or theories over the top of it, a link will be in the description down below. But without further ado, let's dive into this very, very brief but explosive, I get it, because there's like dragons and wars and shit, little teaser trailer.
Errors were made in the hours following King Viserys' death.
Okay. One thing about this teaser, I'm not going to be spoiling anything for the season or anything that could potentially be coming in the season in terms of big landmark moments because, well, I kind of got super invested to see how the story ends up going, so I know how it ends. But then it also doesn't detract from the fact that I'm super excited to see this, so I'm not going to be spoiling anything that is going to be plot relevant, but obviously even you can tell by the voiceover from Otto, who is one of my favorite characters of the season. There's only like 1 or 2 characters that I don't specifically like all that much, but they also don't show up, okay? So it's not like a Daenerys situation that, specifically took away from my enjoyment of the overall Game of Thrones show. But obviously with this reaction, there's going to be some allusions to what happened in Season 1, which again, I cannot strongly endorse more. And Otto saying that the king is dead, and obviously this is a big story about the internal Targaryen civil war that kicks off, and there's 2 distinct sides, and who we have right here, obviously we have one head of the black side of the faction. Okay, you got Queen Rhaenyra saying that there were, being shown, while Otto's saying that there were errors being made in the hours following the death of King Viserys, potentially alluding to the fact that they didn't specifically deal with the threat that the blacks possess, because, well, at the beginning of this season, they're going to have a majority of the dragons, because, okay, who has the dragon over on the black side? So obviously you're going to have Daemon, you're going to have Rhaenyra, stupid Rhaenys, and then a few of the kids. And then on the green side, well, this might be a little bit of a spoiler because I don't think he has the dragon right now, but King Aegon is going to have a dragon. It's not that much of a spoiler, really. And then, of course, Aemond has Vhagar, which kind of also cancels out the fact that, some of the smaller dragons are out there, and Vhagar is far and away outside of one dragon that is around that they might eventually meet up with. Actually, very likely will end up meeting up with down the line. Kind of neutralizes out some of the smaller dragons that are at play. So yeah, the Greens are also going like, okay, well, if they all gang up on Vhagar, that's going to be a problem because, our number 2 dragon is quite a bit smaller and it's not all that great. So yeah, there were some problems. And the fact is, the misinterpreting the whole dinner scene and not realizing that they're talking about, episode 8 of season 1, which is the best episode. I think everybody universally agrees with that. So I'm not breaking any new ground like Rhaenys through the bottom of the dragon pit. God! Not dealing with the blacks presents a unique problem that, well, unfortunately is going to mean that this is going to be exceptionally bloody. So, let's continue. Oh, yeah, something else. Okay, I know. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of stops and starts because I got a lot of thoughts about this, okay? And that's why, it's my reaction to this. If you want to watch the teaser, go watch it yourself. But this is also, okay, and the way that George R.R. Martin likes to write is that a lot of things end up just kind of parroting past events, and he's kind of cyclical in the way that he writes, okay? But this scene right here, when I first seen it, it's like, this really does harken back to when Joffrey did ascend the throne after Robert was killed by the boar, the way that the throne room had the gold leafing around the pillars, and then the moment that Joffrey took over, he brought back all of the cauldrons of fire, and that's what we're seeing right here now that Viserys is dead and Aegon was coronated in that awful episode 9, and that they're still playing foreboding music underneath of it, and it's just kind of it's obviously being shot as a very dour situation because, well, they also know that very much a war is on the way. And also, like I said, this might be a long one, but Daemon's also missing a lot of the plumage on his helmet there, his solid steel Valyrian helmet, by the way, which also makes me pissed off about Game of Thrones show, because Euron Greyjoy, the finger in the bum guy, he was supposed to have a full suit of solid steel Valyrian armor. We were robbed of that. No, just because he had to be a fucking joke. God, that show. Anyways, continue.
The war be fought. Many will die.
Yo, I like Alicent a lot, okay? That was one of the things. It was exceptionally good. Very, very difficult to pull off. And also wondering, how many time skips we're going to be getting in Season 2. Because in Season 1, I really liked both of the actresses that were playing the younger versions. Millie Alcock for Rhaenyra and Olivia Cook, I think, played Alicent. But both of them are still, like, Alicent's probably one of my favorite characters throughout the entire show. Like, mostly because it's like, well, she's just doing her duty and then she continues to get shit on. But also because of the complexity of the characters in general, it's like, yeah, she does her duty and she's kind of resentful because of it. And because of that resentment, her kids end up getting neglected. And, well, her poor parentage, because of her feeling bad for herself and her situation, ends up creating so much or rather, a greater amount of horror upon the entire realm. So, yeah, that's what makes all of these characters so interesting, so unique. Criston Cole.
And the victor will eventually ascend the throne.
Yes, of course. That was something else, okay, from, season 1. The music was so good, using the motifs just in different areas. Everybody's themes, especially Viserys as he's walking across the throne room in episode 8. That's what everybody points to as well. But just the use of music, you don't get that from very other quality pieces of media. Like, if this was a reaction to an official teaser for whatever tripe Marvel is going to be putting out into the future, it would just be some 80s banger over the top of it, or it'd just be some shit Beastie Boys track, which, thank fuck, they're not touring anymore. Garbage fucking band. But no, it's almost like they have their own music that they can play underneath of this in order to convey the message that they want to. Wow, you don't have to rely on outside or external sources that everybody knows and loves in order to elicit a response. Wow, imagine that. But which dragon is this? Okay, I want to go back and I want to see if we can tell. Okay, so who's over top? It doesn't look like there's enough damage over it. I don't think it really matters. It's obvious. Well, obviously not Vhagar. It's also not Caraxes, Daemon's dragon, because he's got the big old long noodle neck. It's tough to tell what color that is because it also could be the one big wild dragon. Could be Vermithor. just out there in the wild right now. It's tough. I don't know for sure, but again, like there's going to be a bunch for all the cool dragons as we've seen in season 1, there's going to be a hell of a lot more in season 2.
There is no war so hateful to the gods.
Oh, and if anybody knows about hateful acts, it's going to be fucking Rhaenys and Netanyahu. Oh my god, how many fucking people can you kill? And then just try to explain it away. Oh, it's not my war. I'm not going to be somebody who's going to kill a bunch of innocent women. But then you fucking bounce through the fucking floor of the dragon pits, killing thousands of... Anyways, I hate her. That's the one character that I despise, like, a lot. Here's one of my other favorite characters. I don't know, it's not exactly unique perspectives that, wow, you like Daemon, you like Aemond, but Aemond is fucking cool. But the way that they're trying to set him up, mostly because of, you know, the climactic event of episode 10, and what he did there, the way that they try to set him up, and here, just let this play out a little bit. But they have him staring they have him staring at the Iron Throne, thinking that it's like, oh, okay, what's going to end up happening there? Does he have aspirations for the throne? But it was also kind of set up in season 1 quite a bit that he is very duty bound, very honor bound. One of the landmark conversations that really does come to mind, I think it was episode 6, where they're still kids. He ends up taking Vhagar in that episode as well, where it's just him explaining his adherence to his duty, where he would do anything for his family all the way up into, like, you know, even if I had to marry my cousin or my sister, I still would, because it's my duty and I will do that, as opposed to his brother, who currently sits the throne, who is just a hedonistic ass. So yeah, it would kind of make sense, because I would imagine, you know, the general audience probably doesn't exactly have, you know, the greatest opinion of Aegon and everything that he did, and are probably a little bit more sympathetic, or at least resonate a little bit more with Aemond. So perhaps people would be cheering this on, and it's an interesting way to go, because again, like, the story's already written in Fire and in Blood, but there were also a couple of tweaks and changes that were made in season 1, some clarifications that are there based on the way that Fire and Blood is written, so it kind of makes sense that they could go ahead and kind of toy around with some of the story beats. So okay, cool. And then obviously it's like, okay, because how episode 10 was going, where they were sending envoys to see all the different great houses. So you got to go to Storm's End and see that sweet ass castle with the Baratheons that are there. And obviously you see snow, you know it's Westeros. They're going up to Winterfell. You're going to see the Starks. But there's also some ideas. It's like, okay, are you going to go to the Wall? Because that's going to be very interesting as well. There's a lot of things that could happen there. And again, no dragons, because we don't want to tip our hands, because maybe this might actually be beyond the Wall. It could potentially be beyond the Wall. So that could be interesting as well. Like, there's so many things that they're just, you know, sitting down here. And again, it's another big reason why I'm just so excited to see how season 2 plays out.
There's a war between kin.
And then, of course, yeah, a big showdown between who's there. Okay, yeah, so obviously. So I would say the gold dragon right there, that would definitely be Syrax with Rhaenyra, but is that Sea Smoke on the other side? Who, again, the writer there, because that's going to be something, because that was the one thing that was changed from the books, where it was, like, unclear what ended up happening with Laenor. But in this one, he's very much still alive, barring whatever happened on the ship that was heading over to Essos. And because we know that, you know, dragons bond with their riders for life, is the dragon going to be convinced? Is the dragon going to be tricked, bonded with somebody else? Or does Laenor come back? Again, like, these are a bunch of different things that we don't quite know for sure, but okay. And again, I thought that shot was very interesting. We'll go back here for a second. Okay, come on. Get back. There it is. Okay, is that Helaena? Okay, because Helaena also shows up a little bit later in this trailer as well. Is that Helaena or a child of the forest? Okay, because again, there's so many there's a lot of stuff that's in here, and these are just my disparate thoughts. Okay, so let's go. Obviously, you know, war shots and all that shit going on in the Reach.
No war so bloody as a war between dragons.
Yeah, nobody knows quite about a bloody war, kind of like you, huh? Miss, I just got forgiven by the show because of, oh, it was so cool, girl boss moment. Fucking stupid. And then, yeah, of course, yeah, Baela. I think that's Baela. It's either Baela or Rhaena. It's one of Daemon's girls that he had with, yeah, Helaena, which her death, that was one of the few things that was, like, super stupid. And what was that, episode 6? Not great. Not great. Like, episode 9 was obviously the worst in season 1, but then, you know, episode 6, episode 6 or episode 2. Again, I'd have to go back and really, well, it's been a second since I watched season 1. But yeah, wasn't a big fan. Wasn't a big fan of that one. But it'll be cool to see more of the kids take more prominent roles, which is also supposed to be what's going on top of Ryan Kindell, the showrunner, coming out and saying that, yeah, season 2 is going to be all-out war. But I also don't want it to lose sight in what made it so special in season 1, for the fact that it was, for all intents and purposes, a very well-written, a grounded political drama, okay, that was tightly written, and the dialogue was fucking superb. There was no wasted motion in that. So hopefully that they don't end up falling into the trappings of seasons 6, 7, 8 of Game of Thrones by just simply putting spectacle over substance. Hopefully that's not the case. And again, waiting with bated breath. A few new characters, but then you can see Helaena. Okay, that's right there. That's, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Helaena, also having her life threatened, and she's the queen at that point in time, right? So yeah, because she's married to Aegon. So yeah, that's quite the act that you have right there. Then, oh my god, just the coolest fucking thing ever. Okay, you know, as much as I said, it's like, I like the fact that season 1 was more about being a grounded political drama, dealing with succession and what happens when, you know, the proper line isn't set in place. But Vhagar's fucking cool every single time, and the fact that, yeah, you can see the wear and tear of this 200-year-old plus beast. Yeah, that's just so fucking cool. Just look at how big that motherfucker is, because we've seen other dragons in this teaser. Just for sheer comparison, okay? Then you got this, okay? How many frames across just to get fucking Vhagar there? We can't even get back to her gullet, okay? But you can also see what Aemond riding on top. There we go, just going back frame and frame at a time. Oh, there he is, right up there. Oh, hi, little guy. Hi, there you are, right up there. And you can see the little net that you need in order to get on this big bitch. Oh my god, it's so cool. And then, yeah, okay, so yeah, it's really cool opening. I really hope, even though they said that they didn't, or they don't have any plans to, but give this show its own theme, okay? Like, it's enough that it already resurrected a lot of people's excitement in the franchise. Okay, just give it its own distinct personality. But then again, they want to wrap everything together, because something else that I'm excited about, and I even did a video on this one beforehand, but the whole Dunk and Egg spinoff, like, that could be really cool. More smaller, again, more personal story that's there. That's going to be really cool. And again, we know how that one goes, even though the stories aren't technically done, but we kind of know what happens with Dunk and Egg, and the fact that they don't, well, you know, make any impact into everything going forward. So you kind of know what goes on there, and we know what the climactic event is, even without everything, you know, being told to us completely. So you got that in the works, and then you also have the Jon Snow sequel series in the works, which, if one of the two doesn't have to be made, well, I don't really need to do that, because I don't really need to have a fucking, you know, a buddy cop type scenario with, you know, Jon and Tormund beyond the wall, where it just makes no fucking sense that there is beyond. Fucking show, man. Anyways. Yes, there we go. And here comes the important information. Summer 2024. And then the rest of this really doesn't much matter, because then it just goes into the big HBO scroll and all that shit. Like, as you can see, oh, look at that. You can click on here for more interviews and all that stuff. It'll be really great. And you can see, you know, a close-up with Caraxes, and he's really cool with his big old noodle neck. But summer of 2024. So we have something to look forward to, even though there's not going to be a lot of, you know, entertainment coming out because of the writer strike and the actor strike. Thankfully, this ended up getting wrapped up in time, mostly because, well, all the actors who were working on this were running on a UK unionization, so I could just go ahead and go straight through. And yeah, we're going to be getting it, okay? And we're more than likely going to be getting a much more drawn out official trailer for this that'll probably have a concrete release date somewhere closer to this. I would imagine probably sometime in the new year, obviously. But summer, heard early summer, so what does that mean? May, June, something like that. That'll be cool. It'll be a good distraction for, you know, all the stupid fucking political shit that's going to be kicking off real hard in 2024. So, man, I know I'm going to be following this closely, and if you guys want this type of stuff, I was dicking around with the idea of maybe following this a little bit more closely, maybe doing dedicated breakdowns to episodes when the show comes out, or following along with the trailers. But hey, man, if you want to see more of that stuff, let me know about it, and if not, this might just end up being a one-off thing, but I really wanted to do this because I'm looking forward to this show. Shit on a lot of the media that's out there right now, and I wanted to give back at least a little bit of positivity, and hey, plus, we got a bonus video out there today, so shit ain't all that fucking bad. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.